morning. Whether you are headed out to the Coast Range out there,
or if you're trying to avoid slick roads on your way to work,
or moving up in elevations, we are live all this morning from all over Oregon as we track winter weather moving through our area. Good morning and thank you for joining us here. I'm China Green.
And I'm Matthew Herchick. Meteorologist Rod Hill and Chris McGinnis are here to help you get out the door. Chris will have the latest on the traffic impacts, but first headed over to Rod with what people can expect. Rod.
Yeah, thank you. We do have the winter weather advisory up until noon today, continuing from the Weather Service for both the Coast Range and the Cascades. Snow reports for the Cascades up at Timberline as much as 5 inches. It's been 6 and even slightly more up over the Coast Range. The snow last night, and there are almost always variations, but generally you had to get up to about 1,000 feet to find sticking snow. You're looking at the radar going back to last evening, and the mix of green, rain, and white is snow. And then here comes the final hours. You see how everything's just kind of fading away. So we're down to basically some spotty lingering showers. Clouds over the city helping to hold our temperature up, 37 degrees. We really haven't seen a temperature movement of more than a degree or two going back to about 7 p.m. last night. Clouds over our state capital as well. Temperature here matching Portland at 37. Right now, mainly what we're left doing is watching the temperature. 34 in Scappoose, but 33 in Forest Grove, 37 in Salem. Everything is really wet. So if we could get some breaks in the cloud cover over the next 60 minutes, temperatures in some areas would get down to 32, and all of a sudden we would be reporting on icy spots. So just be aware of that possibility. Otherwise, it's 42 at noon and 42 at 5 o'clock. Partly cloudy skies opening up with a lingering shower chance. So here is Chris McGinnis.
Rodney, thank you for that. Pardon me. We've got a list of delays and one closure to talk about. They should be scrolling across the bottom of your screen. I did want to point that out. The Rainier School District calling it a day. They are closed today because obviously of the inclement weather. Keep your eye at the bottom of your screen for the rest of those mentions for 2-hour delays. Also, over on the west side, this is a look at Highway 26 out near the Buxton area, actually out towards Timber Junction. That little icon there meaning slippery roads. We had a report of downed trees on Highway 47 that had that partially blocked a little while ago. And Highway 6, this is out near Lee's Camp. This is one of the areas that still requires chains or traction tires. That does get up to about 1,600 feet, and there is some snow and ice coverage out there as we see out towards Staley's Junction on Highway 26. All right, the freeway drive locally, it's getting busier, but so far, again, no icy patches that we were possibly and still concerned about forming out there for now. But that's not the case across the entire area. Corey Johnson's actually out in Columbia County checking out the road situation out near St. Helens. Corey, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Chris. Closer to in-town, we saw drier spots out on the roadway, but as we get onto the back roads in St. Helens, we just got off of Sykes Road, now we're on Cater Road. Conditions are changing from what we can see, turning that camera around for you. There is more slush as we get out toward the back roads. It's actually very slick for us. We have to take our time as we go throughout this stretch. Also losing traction at one point when we were making our way back up this hill earlier this morning. Lots of slush, and we've also seen a few ice trucks make a few passes out at the roadway. So it is clearing rapidly throughout the morning. This is quite different from what we saw even 30 minutes ago, but still, you'll definitely want to take your time as you're making your way out on the roadway, as we've been talking about conditions like what we're seeing on back roads. Also leading to some school delays this morning in Columbia County. The Scappoose School District is currently on a 2-hour delay due to snow on bus routes that sit toward the outskirts and on the back roads like the ones we're seeing. According to school officials, it's the same for St. Helens and Vernonia school districts, also running on a 2-hour delay. But really, we are taking our time as we make our way up Cater Road in the St. Helens area. We're at about 350 feet of elevation where we do have this slush out here, and going to continue to take our time as we make our way through this area. But if you head out this morning, definitely use caution out on the roadway, specifically the back roads here in Columbia County. Back to you.
Corey Johnson reporting live this morning. Corey, thank you very much. Yeah, roads there looking a little dicey all morning long. We've been talking about the winter conditions near the Oregon coast and up in the Cascades, but we want to look at the local travel impacts as well.
And you've been talking to a lot of people, so who are you talking to now?
Well, now we're actually going to talk to TriMet. We've got TriMet spokesperson Tia York on the phone, I believe. Tia, good morning. Thank you for getting up with us early, very early. What's the situation with TriMet right now on the roads and the rails?
Good morning, and thank you for having us. We are seeing no weather-related impacts to our service this morning. TriMet buses and trains are rolling. On weather days like this, we do send out snowbirds early in the morning, especially to the higher elevations where our buses run. And while some reported snow and rain, road conditions in the areas that we serve are looking pretty good. And TriMet service, our service area includes parts of Multnomah, Washington, and Clackamas counties here in the Portland metro area. Still, as folks head out this morning, we do encourage them to bundle up because it is chilly out there, and take care going to and from stops and stations and transit centers. You know, as Rod has mentioned, we could see some slick spots, and Chris, we could see some slick spots, and, you know, all it takes is one little, slippery spot to kind of ruin your day.
Yeah, for sure. We don't want that to happen.
Take it easy out there.
Yeah, Tia, thank you so much. We don't want anybody ruining their day, and it's glad that this has wound up being just wet as opposed to slick for now, but we'll certainly keep you posted. Tia, thank you for joining us this morning.
Absolutely.
And we've been checking in with the reporters all over the area. So Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz is joining us now from Clatsop County. Thomas, what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, well, guys, we are seeing some of that snow, about 3 inches here in Clatsop County. Unfortunately, as Chris and Ron, Tia mentioning, not any ice in the metro area. We are seeing a little bit out here. Listen to that crunch just on the feet here of that ice. We're in a rest area here in Clatsop County. Now, you can see, look, I mean, there's a little bit on the roadway. The slickest part that we're seeing is not this area where you can actually see the ice. It's right here. And that's where it becomes a little bit more slick. So if you are traveling on Highway 26, we were going down the coastal range about an hour ago. That's where we were running into a little bit of ice as we were losing elevation, going from 1,300 feet to about 500 feet. That's where our photographer, Eric Patterson, really had to grip the wheel and put his foot on the brake to make sure we were getting down safely. You can see here too, this is about 3 inches of snow out here in Clatsop County. Right now we're about 1,300 feet of elevation. We've seen snowfall up to 5 and 6 inches. That was by the tunnel as you're heading west toward the coast along Highway 26. So we've seen some areas where, even though it may be a little bit lower elevation, they're seeing more snowfall. But here in Clatsop County, again, the roadways right now are pretty good. Might be a little bit of slickness on the roads. We have seen cars traveling and even log trucks traveling pretty normal speeds. We've also fortunately seen some ODOT crews out here this morning plowing those roadways. That was about 5:30 this morning that we were seeing that. So they are trying to make sure that the roadways are safe. Fortunately, not too slick right now, but of course, always you want to be cognizant and cautious, especially when you're seeing snowfall in an area like here in Clatsop County, 3 inches that we're seeing here today, and make sure that wherever you're going, you're driving slowly, cautiously, so that you arrive safely. Matthew, China.
All right, Thomas Schultz reporting live this morning. Thank you, Thomas. And we are taking a live look now at Council Crest Park, where you can see just a light little dusting there on the ground with snow. And while here in the Portland area, we are unlikely to see any snow, and those in higher elevations are seeing a little bit of something, so that's good.
Yeah, and that's at roughly 1,000 feet. So, you know, now on the back side of this, we can tell you exactly what happened. Snow levels did turn out to be, as we look at that live shot there at Council Crest, closer to 1,000 feet than 500. I know Matt, at least in the early evening, and then we talked about it at noon yesterday, Matt Safino, that the snow level is likely going to be near to above 500 feet. The Portland would stay in the mid to upper 30s. All of that came true, but if anything, instead of a snow level somewhere close to 500, it was actually close to 1,000 feet last night. And our temperatures didn't budge. I mean, areas that were 37, 38 at 7 p.m. last night were 37, 38 degrees early this morning, and actually still right now. We are still watching our conditions until about 8 o'clock, so we got about 50 more minutes to watch these. The sun is now starting to come up, and just thinking that there could be some breaks in the cloud cover and temperatures would quickly get down to 32. It's so wet that any drop in temperature would all of a sudden trigger some really icy spots developing quickly. Not seeing that yet that we are aware of. We're just watching for it and asking you to do the same. Here's the radar the last, 6 hours. You can see everything just kind of fading away. There still are some showers out there, but in terms of measurable precipitation, we're pretty much done at this point. There's 37 degrees in the low cloud deck looking from the Vancouver the Springs at the waterfront camera. And this is at about 200 feet in elevation, and obviously the grass is just green. That's the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club out in Aloha, holding at 36 degrees. One of the colder spots has been up Highway 30 towards St. Helens and near Scappoose at 34 degrees. 33 out in Forest Grove, but that's a steady temperature since I've gotten to work. It hasn't changed. Gresham 36. Again, it was no colder on the east side this time around. Well, Estacada is reporting 32 and there's Silverton at 31. That temperature gauge in Silverton is a bit of a wild card. 36 down in Albany. Moving forward, this shows us 40 at 11, and then here we are up to the 40s this afternoon, and we'll open up sun breaks. Any showers will be spotty, so really it turns into a pretty good day, but it will still be cool with low to mid 30s coast and valley, and then still only in the 30s for highs, central and eastern areas of our state. So if we get to 8 o'clock and everybody's above freezing and we're not getting reports of icy spots, then we'll lift the impact alert and we'll enjoy a pretty quiet day moving forward up to about 45. Dry tonight will set up a freeze tomorrow morning. Could be frost and fog in the morning potentially, a high of 47. And then rain picks up over the weekend at times. Temperatures rise. It could be back to 50 or better every day from Sunday into Wednesday of next week. Here's Chris.
All right, Rod, thank you for that. A reminder again, in Columbia County, the Rainier School District closed. We also have a handful, actually about a dozen or so 2-hour delays. They should be scrolling across the bottom of your screen, so be aware of that. Out in the Coast Range, as mentioned, the downed tree is actually reported just north of the Highway 26, Highway 47 junction near Stubb Stewart Park. And it's just to show you what it looks out there. This is not at terribly high elevation. At about shy of 300 feet. So near the base of the Coast Range, obviously the snow levels were lower and they've had some significant snow out there. Highway 6, Oregon Wilson River Highway 6, still having chain or traction tire requirements this morning. Down low for the rest of us, the Sylvan Hill here, traffic getting a little bit busier there, but it's still moving along okay. Want to hop down to Westland. I believe this is the crash that we reported on yesterday. That car rolled over again. I'm pretty certain that's the same car. They're actually retrieving it, it appears now. And so with that, that is slowing the 205 South ride between Clackamas and Westland. Right now, you need about 17 minutes to get from Highway 212 down to the I-5 merge in Tualatin. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Chris. Still to come on Sunrise, we are live from Milan with just days left until the closing ceremony. Anne-Marie Tiernan joins us with the latest in the race for gold. And we are also tracking winter weather moving through the area. Rod Hill will join us with the latest in the winter weather advisory. Don't go anywhere. Sunrise streaming live at 7 continues in just 2 minutes.
I'm Matthew Herchick, new morning anchor at KGW. I'm a huge sports fan, and I know I might be from the Buckeye State, but I'm excited to explore what the Rose City has to offer. I want to make sure you're prepared for the day, whether it's bringing you breaking news or sharing those inspirational stories that make you smile. We've got you covered. Because when news moves fast, you need a team that moves with you. Make the move to Portland's #1 streaming newscast, Sunrise, weekday mornings from 5 to 9, anywhere you watch.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yeah.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW+.
Well, there are just 3 days left before the closing ceremony of the 2026 Winter Olympics, and with time running out, the race is on for Team USA to add to its medal count.
Anne-Marie Tiernan joins us live from Milan. Anne-Marie, all right, so before we get to what medals are up for grabs yesterday, talk about how the men's hockey team looked against Sweden yesterday.
Well, they won. Thank goodness. You know, we were talking about this yesterday about how this was going to be the big challenge for the men to get past Sweden. How it was unfortunate that they were going to meet such a good competitor, such a rival at the quarterfinal level. But they got through. Did take overtime. They won 2-1. But you know what? We're seeing that shift now in the men's tournament because of the 4 quarterfinal games. 3 of them went to overtime. So the competition really heating up. But Team USA moving through. Now they are in the semifinals and they're playing on Friday, Slovakia. So that is one step closer to gold for the men's team. That men's gold game is on Sunday. Let's hope Team USA is there because the ladies are there today and they're taking on Canada. The ladies of the Team USA are heavily favored. I've been talking to people here that have follow hockey that know a lot more about it than me. I'm like, set it up for me. You know, what's the strengths, what the weaknesses. And, you know, generally it's like, and we cannot see any scenario where Team USA does not win the gold. They are just too good. There just has not been anyone that roster-wise, position for position, team unity, strength, determination. They're the wall. The gold is theirs. That's the thought. That's what it was for Ilya Malinin, too. That's what I add.
Oh,
there you go.
Oh, Anne-Marie coming in
Oh, man.
hot.
All right.
The Zingers. All right. Anne-Marie reporting live for us with some hot takes this morning from Milan. And then before we get to Rod, we want to check in with our live reporters to see what it's looking like out there. We're talking winter weather along with the Olympics.
Yeah, over on the left there, Corey Johnson is out on the roads this morning over in St. Helens. In the middle, we have Celine Stevens up at Council Crest Park. And then on the right, we have Thomas Schultz over in Clatsop County, seeing varying levels of winter weather, some slush, some snow. Yeah, so we're getting all kinds of stuff out there.
Oh, look at him.
Yeah.
Stepping out of the way so we can see what we're working with.
He put his pen away, Rod.
Yeah.
He's not going to say anything?
I'm a little...
I guess we're just showing pictures.
Yeah, I was a little unsure of that, too. But
give us a thumbs up, Thomas. Do that for us. Give us a thumbs up. I wonder if Thomas is listening. There, thumbs up. All right.
There he is. All right.
I wish that was a fun.
That was snowball.
Rude?
You know, he mentioned earlier that the temperatures, even at 1,000 feet in the Coast Range, are only about 30. It wasn't that cold. So that is a wet snow. And Thomas mentioned, remember earlier, that you could really tell the snow was kind of weighing down the trees, and that opens the door for maybe some debris breaking on the roadways during the day, you know, that type of thing. They reported 6-7 inches of snow up above 1,000 feet, which was more in the Coast Range than what the Cascades had last night, because the low offshore wasn't very strong, and it was actually, you know, as we look at the satellite picture, closer in proximity to the Coast Range. That low that triggered the burst of moisture, you know, the moisture did good. We picked up 29/100ths of an inch yesterday out of PDX, which is actually a little bit more of a moisture output, if you will, than what the modeling was showing. That low is now mostly all the way down to about the California border and then southward, and the heavy moisture is now hitting up into the Sierra and the heavier rain down in Northern California. For us, at this point forward, we're basically left with some spotty showers and really a pretty nice day upcoming. Timberline has had snow showers on and off this morning. Right now, all dry, 17 degrees. Latest report is now 5 inches of new snow over the past 24 up there. And there's Government Camp. And it's cold, 25 degrees. That's cold enough that snow and ice won't really get off the highway unless it would warm up closer to 30 this afternoon. Here's Santiam Pass, even more snow covered and colder at 21 degrees. And then where Thomas Schultz has been for us live all morning, driving back and forth across the Coast Range, it's 29. This is at 1,400 feet. There's the snow and the ice. Now this will get up to 32 and above. Yesterday the road cleared, and today I would expect that road to mostly clear with the daytime heating. You can see all the snow that is wet and heavy on the trees that Thomas Schultz was describing for us earlier this morning. So the advisory for both the Coast Range and the Cascades continues until noon today, and then that'll be it. Again, the shower activity is winding down, may or may not have enough moisture for another inch or two up in the mountains. You've got to get up to about 1,000 feet to find a uniform sticking snow level, which of course is above most of us. We did see that dusting of snow that we've been showing you at Council Crest. That's right about 1,000 feet, of course, here in the Metro Valley. Here's the radar right now, pretty quiet, just literally some specks of moisture. Now, this is why We have a KGW weather impact alert up until 8 o'clock this morning for the threat of clouds breaking up somewhat and temperatures nosediving, and all of a sudden our wet roads will get icy. That is beautiful blue that has opened up in Lincoln City from our Chinook Winds Casino Resort camera. Now, so far over the valley, the clouds are holding pretty solid. That's a pretty look from Chehalem Tasting Room out in Sherwood. And here are the temperatures. If we can just hold above freezing through 8 o'clock, at that point on, the daytime temps would start to go up and we'll be fine. And so far, we are still fine as far as we know. 35 Kelso, Portland, and Salem 37, 37, Eugene 34. And even out in the gorge, the Dalles is holding at 33. Temperature report shows we should be in the upper 30s at 9, 11 o'clock, 40, and then low to mid 40s as we get rolling into 2 o'clock this afternoon. Here's our 7-day. We have a high of 45. Moving forward, sun breaks opening up, just a spotty shower threat. Cold tonight will open the door for frosty cold into tomorrow morning, Friday 47. And then there's a front that holds offshore for a couple days over the weekend, but it does spin moisture up our direction. So showers or rain at times on Saturday and Sunday. Overnight lows will continue to go up, and daytime highs to get back up into the 50s no later than Sunday. Here is Chris.
Great visual from Thomas out in the Coast Range, and to your point about, heavy trees, right, with the snowpack on them, that may very well have been responsible for this. This is what it looks like out near Staley's Junction, but let me give you a different perspective. This is Highway 47. ODOT is reporting some down trees or maybe some down tree limbs just north of that 2647 junction in Washington, extreme northwest Washington County. So just be on the lookout for that through the Coast Range. Down low for the rest of us. Traffic getting busier. I do have a couple of slow spots. First off at the Sylvan Hill, Highway 26, normal slow and go action there. We'll take you down to West Lynn. It looks like ODOT and emergency responders are retrieving that crash from yesterday. That was a rollover in the ditch there yesterday, and now it appears that they're working the crash scene there. So you can see the 205 South is running a little thick right now through West Lynn. 22 minutes gets you from Clackamas to Tualatin. The rest of the drive times are starting to inch up, but so far nothing way out of the ordinary on our roads locally. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Chris. A coyote attack in West Salem leaves wildlife officials urging neighbors to stay alert and take steps to keep their families safe. What you need to know next when Sunrise streaming live at 7 continues in just 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm Christine Panawanich. I'm a journalist at KGW, and I love exploring Portland's amazing food scene. New spot? I'm there. So I don't just report about our community, I belong to it. What happens here affects us all, and that's why we care so deeply about getting it right. And when local journalism is done right, it doesn't sit still, it moves. It moves you to act, to vote, to volunteer, to speak up, or to lend a hand. It moves your mind by challenging assumptions and offering new perspectives. It moves you forward by giving you the information to make decisions and thrive where you live. And yes, it moves your heart through the good stuff that stays with you wherever you are. And at KGW, we're here for all of it. These are the stories that move Portland.
An update this morning, Portland Community College has sent out yet another alert related to the man accused of stalking and harassing people near campus. The latest message was sent yesterday afternoon about a sexual harassment incident at a bus stop at 82nd and Division. College leaders believe that they identified the man who has stalked or harassed students at least 4 times over the last month, but so far it appears none of the victims have filed police reports. Officials say the person in question was already banned from all campuses. And if you or someone you know is a survivor of sexual assault, remember that help is always available. You can get 24/7 support by calling the National Sexual Assault Hotline at the number there on your screen, 1-800-656-4673.
Developing this morning, the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife is warning people in West Salem to be on alert after a coyote bit a woman. This happened last Wednesday just outside city limits while the woman was walking along Orchard Heights Road. She suffered only minor injuries. ODFW is asking neighbors in the area to keep an eye on young children, scare away coyotes whenever possible, and to never feed them.
Rogue Ale's brewing inventory and equipment will officially hit the auction block tomorrow. The brewery shuttered all operations back in November as its parent company, the Oregon Brewing Company, filed for bankruptcy. At the time, court documents showed Oregon Brewing owed hundreds of thousands in back taxes and rent, in addition to nearly $17 million in liabilities. All equipment and inventory will be sold off in the auction when it goes live at 10 tomorrow morning.
We're in Clatsop County this morning talking all things snow. Yeah, not Timberline, not Mount Hood. We're on the coastal range here because we got, look, 3 to 6 inches. We'll tell you more about it and what you need to do to stay safe coming up next.
KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
I'm Trina Green, morning anchor at KGW and new dog mom to this sweet guy. Meet Barry. I love getting your mornings off to a great start, whether it's sharing stories of resilience and triumph in our community, or following breaking news from Beaverton to Gresham and everywhere in between. We've got you covered because when news moves fast, you need a team that moves with you. Make the move to KGW Sunrise, weekday mornings from 5 to 9, anywhere you watch.
We are coming up on 7:29 on your Thursday morning drive. You will see scrolling across the bottom of your screen a number of 2-hour delays because of inclement weather. The Rainier School District closed today, and out in the Coast Range, Highway 47 right now, ODOT reporting some downed trees just north of the 26 merge. So be on the lookout for that if you're traveling through the Coast Range, an area that was hard hit with snow. Down low, we're in pretty good shape. I've got one slow spot there, I-205 through West Lynn. Earlier crash from yesterday. It appears that they're retrieving that crash scene or that car, and so traffic is backed up a little bit into West Lynn, but the rest of our drive times are in pretty good shape. Rod?
Thank you, Chris. And our Thomas Schultz has been out in the Coast Range this morning reporting really wet, heavy snow on the trees. And now Chris with that report of a tree down. So definite hazard out that direction. There are some spots of precipitation, but basically Maysville precipitation is now over. We have clouds over the city. We're holding above freezing. Most of the elevated hills below 500 feet got nothing. That's the Dundee Hills to Main Serene Winery. Often they can get some snow, but not this time around. Portland will be 42 at noon. We'll be up into the mid 40s for a high. And then we've got a dry night tonight and a dry day tomorrow.
Well, good morning. It is a weather impact alert day here at KGW. This is a time lapse from our sky cam at the Oregon Zoo overnight, which is about 600 feet higher than the city area. We saw a wintry mix, some snow, but no snow really sticking to the ground. You're saying that's more at about 1,000 feet.
Yeah, that was an interesting camera because if you go back to like 11 o'clock yesterday morning, it was on again, off again. It's, oh my gosh, is it snowing? But the temperature was always 35 or 36 and never fluctuated. And obviously, as we just saw, nothing stuck. Here's a look at where we are this morning with our live Doppler radar for you. Some spotty showers around, yes, but overall, it's pretty quiet. The organized push of moisture dropped 29/100ths of an inch of total moisture yesterday. Through midnight anyway, that came through the area. And as Matthew just mentioned, we've been talking about, we now know the snow level generally was about 1,000 feet. So you had to get well above 500 feet to find sticking snow. The ground temperatures in the valley, Portland, Salem, Vancouver, basically held steady from about 7 p.m. last night until right now. There's Salem at 37. There are the low clouds over Portland. Reporting a shower out along the Columbia PDX, and the same temperature as Salem at 37. So if we can get just another 30 minutes out of this morning with temperatures holding above freezing, then the threat of icy roads will probably be over, and we'll be 42 at noon, opening up some sun breaks, just a few scattered showers potentially, and really a pretty nice but cool day. I've got today's high at 45 in that 2 to 3 o'clock hour. Here's Chris.
I don't know if I'm getting soft in my old age, Rob. I went for a run yesterday in that rain, and that was cold. Cold, I know. Oh, I'm soft, yes. All right, let's take you out into the Coast Range. We do have a report from ODOT about some downed trees or downed tree limbs on Highway 47, just north of Staley's Junction. This is what it looks like out there. And again, to Rod's point about the Coast Range getting hit with that heavy, wet snow, wouldn't be surprised to hear more reports of downed tree limbs out there. All right, for the rest of us, the drive this morning's not in too bad a shape. I do have a couple of slow spots, though. Highway 26 at the Sylvan Hill. We've had on and off snowflakes there this morning, but obviously the road itself is just fine. Driving south out of West Lynn, this crash, I'm pretty sure that's the crash that we reported on yesterday, and now they're there flipping that car over and retrieving it. So with that in mind, ODOT's got the southbound left lane blocked, and traffic is backing up a little bit through West Lynn. Clackamas south to Tualatin is just shy of 30 minutes. Guys, back to you.
Chris, thank you. We are going to head over to our Celine Stevens, who is live at Council Crest Park, which is at an elevation at above 1,000 feet.
So Celine, I think I see some dusting behind you, but I can't see very well. Is that what's behind you?
Definitely, yeah, that's snow. We're seeing a decent amount of snow up here that's still stuck to the grass. You know, around in our earlier live shots, we were about 45 seconds down this hill. It was a 45-second drive up to where we are now, and there's a pretty decent amount of snow here compared to what we were seeing down the hill where it was already starting to melt. But right now, there's no rain, there's no snow, but there is fog, and of course that dusting, but it's not stopping anybody. I've seen a good amount of people on their morning runs and walks here despite the cold temperatures and the fog and the snow. But earlier this morning, our drive up here was smooth. Roads were definitely wet then, and they're still wet now. I do want to say that. And there was still a bit of snow along the sidewalks and on top of cars, which was something that we're still seeing at this 7:30 hour. The slick roads are still a possibility in certain areas that you'd want to be cautious of, especially with the low temperatures being so close to freezing. While PBOT and ODOT have been preparing the roads for this winter weather event with de-icer and salt in certain areas, it's still important to remember that we haven't seen winter weather like this for a long time, and drivers need to account for that when hitting the roads this morning.
At the lower elevations, I would be really, really cautious the next few days, because when you have those temperatures hovering so close to freezing, you could go around a corner into a shady spot and find ice. People get used to being able to drive a little faster, take corners a little faster when it's dry and warm. And we've had an unusually warm and dry several weeks. And so this shift back into a more normal kind of winter can be a bit of a shock.
Again, even though it's just a dusting of snow, it was still enough to make a snowball, okay? So if you come up to the park, into this area, it's enough to collect, again, make a little snowball. Yet just a few feet down the hill, things are a lot different. So it really depends where you are. Again, no active snow, no active rain, but do watch out for the fog if you are heading up here or to other higher elevations, as it is a little tough to see with the fog and the white snow. That could pose some difficulties, but back to you.
Celine, thank you. Very exciting. Great snowball there. And we've been saying this a lot, but for those heading to the Coast Range or the Cascades, you should be carrying those chains. Tire socks, another good option for you. Last year, this time, our Sunrise crew learned about how to use both of them. So here's a reminder.
So if you have it super tight, that chain can't move at all. It'll last a lot longer. You want the chain on this way because when the snow and everything's hitting it, forcing it in, it's pushing against this so the clasp doesn't go the other way and push it out. If it was opposite, it would push the chain out and undo it. They're really easy. It's almost like a hairnet for your tire. There's an elastic band on the inside. They self-center themselves at about 15 to 20 miles an hour. It's the same as chains where max speed is 25 miles an hour. More of the community is going towards these over chains because if you break a chain, you can get damage to your vehicle. Whereas these, you wear a hole in them, you just keep driving on them.
And be sure to leave extra distance and drive slowly.
And we saw some of that snow in areas west of the metro. They've been hit with snow.
Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz joining us now from Clatsop County. Thomas, you are seeing the most snow out of all of these reporters we got around the area.
You know, guys, we really got the dream assignment this morning. We've got plenty of snow here in Clatsop County. I've been saying, probably somewhere between 3 and 4 inches. But the key thing to reporting here, you got to have good props. So I brought my pin with us so we can find out for sure. This thing is 5 inches. We're going to stick it in here and see just how deep it goes.
Good night.
I'd say that's 4 inches. I'd say unscientifically 4 inches of snow here in Clatsop County. We've seen even more as we go closer to Portland. Now that's and the tunnel coming to out west here toward the coast, that's about 1,100 feet elevation. We're probably at 1,300 feet now. We're seeing more snow at that lower elevation. Another thing we're seeing here in Clatsop County though, a little bit of ice on the roadways. Right here, it does get kind of slick in this parking lot to the rest area. We saw it as we were going down in elevation too about an hour ago. It's slickest too in those areas where you can't really see it. Right here is much more slick than it would be over here. It's a bit crunchier. Now on the roadways right next to us, that's Highway 26. We've seen some ODOT plows. We've seen even a sander go by, putting sand on the roadway here on Highway 26. For the most part, cars are moving pretty smoothly. They're moving at a normal clip, if you will, on Highway 26 too. So things are moving well, but again, look, 4 inches of snow here in Clatsop County. Some areas we've seen up to 6 inches, and you can see here as we're panning, just kind of a winter wonderland. So of course, as always, especially in higher elevation, you really want to be cautious. You want to drive slowly, but guys, it is a beautiful scene up here early this morning.
Thomas Schultz and his trusty ink pen live in the coastal range there at Clatsop County. Thank you very much, Thomas. Appreciate it. And taking a quick look at the power outages, PGE is reporting 16 active outages impacting close to 500 people, mostly near Banks and North Plains. At one point, they were reporting over 700 people without power.
An update into our newsroom just now. This is not weather related, but another teenager arrested in connection to the death of a man at a Southeast Portland convenience store. It happened back in December in the Hazelwood neighborhood. Police have already arrested a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old in connection to the incident last month. And yesterday morning, another 15-year-old was arrested on murder charges. The investigation is still ongoing.
It's 7:38, time for another check of the forecast. Now, Rod, I know that you told Thomas you wanted to see exactly how much snow is out. Did you think he was going to bring an ink pen?
No, I thought he would, maybe bring a ruler. So my ink pen, by the way, Thomas said he thought it was about 4. My ink pen, which is pretty standard size, is 5.5 inches. So if his pen is the same as mine, then he would have had a 5-inch report there. Isn't this awesome? When I worked in Grand Rapids, Michigan, years and years ago, where of course snow is a big part of the winter season, this viewer made this little snowman cover for me to go on a ruler. Isn't that cool? I love this thing. I've had it all these years, kind of as a keepsake. I would have worked in Grand Rapids, Michigan back in the mid-90s, by the way. All right. We still have the KGW weather impact alert up and just until the top of the hour. We know we have some breaks in the cloud cover at the coast. And if we get breaks developing here in the valley, temperatures that are 35 right now would probably drop to 32. And all of a sudden, we would have icy spots. So far, that has not happened. And if we get to 8 o'clock with valley temperatures generally above freezing, at that point, daytime heating starts to take over and we will be out of the woods with no issues whatsoever down here in the flats of the I-5 corridor. There's some breaks in the cloud deck like I was talking about from our seaside camera, but still pretty solid holding over Salem where it's 37 degrees. Temperatures turned out to be, which is not overly surprising, almost exactly steady from 7 p.m. last night to where we are right now. And remember, our temperature projection was we left the door open for freezing temps and dustings of snow at low elevation this morning, but we thought from the noon on yesterday, including Matt's weather last night, that was growing confidence that Portland would be in the mid to upper 30s with just wet conditions, and that turned out to be the exact case. 38 in Portland right now. There's that 37 in Salem, also 37 degrees down in Albany. Raleigh is our KGW pet of the day with the sweater there. Beautiful dog, really cute. Pet of the day at kgw.com is email address. Send us your pet's photo, and we will feature them on our show. All right. So if we don't have any icy roads once we get to 8 o'clock, then the rest of the day is pretty nice. We'll open up some sun breaks. Still cool, low to mid 40s, coast and valley. A northwest wind 5 to 15, and a spotty shower chance will continue, but most of us have probably seen the end of any measurable precip. It'll be only in the 30s again today east of the Cascades. So our 7-day forecast, 45 today. Dry tonight will get us down to freezing, 47 tomorrow for a nice Friday. Then rain chances return Friday overnight, rain at times in the weekend with the rising temperatures up to about 52 degrees, 51 degrees Monday. Don't you love my little snowman? All right, here's Chris.
He's cute, just like Rod. Cute. All right, let's go ahead and pick up the drive right now over on the west side. Highway 26 getting busy at the Sylvan Hill. It's been busy, but moving along just fine. One spot that's been slow, and I think this is because ODOT looks to be retrieving that crash scene from yesterday on I-205 south of West Lynn. You can see that they still have that southbound West Lane. Well, it was blocked. Now they've reopened it over on the shoulder, but it is starting to back the drive a little bit up towards, this is in 10th Street in West Lynn. So with that in mind, the drive from Clackamas south to Tualatin, averaging about 25 minutes at last check. There's your trip through North Portland right there, I-5 southbound, a little bunched up near the Expo Center, as always. Not bad, though. 17 minutes get you south from Main Street to the Fremont Bridge. Matthew?
Chris, thank you. 8 skiers are confirmed dead and 1 is still missing. Coming up, the latest on the avalanche near Lake Tahoe when sunrise continues right after this.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
7:44, and we're learning more about what's now the deadliest avalanche in the country in 4 decades. In Northern California, 8 skiers have been confirmed dead and 1 is still missing. Authorities say the group of 15 was in the backcountry north of Lake Tahoe. 6 people were rescued Tuesday night, with only 2 needing to go to the hospital. Crews used beacons and a cell phone to find the bodies of the 8 others. The missing skier is also presumed dead.
And we spoke with a local mountain rescue doctor who says avalanches often happen during or right after storms. That's because the layer of new snow sometimes doesn't stick with the old snow. He says searches after these types of avalanches take a massive team and happens in multiple waves.
First goal is to get to the scene on skis. Usually we call that a hasty team. That's a small team that goes light and fast, that gets to the scene and tries to do an initial assessment as to what resources are needed and get those initial survivors evacuated as soon as possible.
Rescuers take probes with them to search for people in the snow. They also take other equipment like shovels to dig people out and a backpack filled with survival essentials.
And some of you have been sending us your snow videos and photos from across the area. This is from Mike Becker in Union. Looks like they got a couple inches of snow there. Looking a little Christmassy, a little winter wonderland-esque.
Yeah.
Remember that you can always send us your photos and videos anytime to the number on your screen, 503-226-5088, and be sure to leave your name, location, and when you took them.
When I was driving into work this morning at 3 o'clock, I was getting what I called splats.
Yeah.
It's not snow, it's not sticking,
Yeah.
but you could tell it wants to be so bad.
Okay, raise your hand if you call that chunky rain. I call it chunky rain. Matthew, what do you call it? It's kind of a snow rain mix where the raindrops get really fat and they're almost turning to snow.
I could just call it fat rain.
Fat rain?
Yeah, I've always
I call
called
it
it
chunky
fat
rain.
rain.
What'd you call it? Splat.
Splat. I don't think your snowman would have lasted in Michigan. Knowing the snow in the Midwest, I feel like that snowman might get lost in the snow.
Well, yeah, you only use that for, that would be a dusting of snow.
Yeah,
in Grand
right.
Rapids,
No
you're
kidding.
That was our
Jeez.
dusting of snow measurement device. All right, we've got our low that produced the moisture. Boy, the moisture came through. You know, we talk about these marginal events often. Sometimes it's like, it's going to be cold, but we're not sure if we're going to get enough moisture. And then there's times where we know we're going to get the moisture. We're not sure if it's going to be cold enough. Well, that was last night because the moisture was good. The low is now all the way down off of the coast of California where it's producing more heavy snow into the Sierra, and it looks like it's moving over Donner Summit into that Tahoe area as well, where the tragic story of the Avalanche is still one of our big stories this morning. Timberline Lodge picked up 5 inches out of this. They're dry right now, but it's cold, 17 degrees. Change traction tire, full winter driving up over both ranges this morning, by the way, Cascades and the Coast Range. Here's Government Camp, 25 degrees, snow-covered Highway 26, and that's an icy look at a 29-degree Highway 26 heading west out up toward the summit of the Coast Range this morning. This road will definitely show improvement. It's 29 right now, and those temperatures I think will easily get up to 32 or even a little bit warmer. So that'll bring improving conditions during the day on that stretch of road. Radar's pretty quiet right now, just a spot of a shower. And we're opening up beautiful blue in Lincoln City. Look at that. Wow, that's the shot after the storm, as they say, right? There's the Reserve Vineyards in Gulf-Maloa. This is still pretty cloudy, but notice no white, just green grass, 36 degrees, a shower reported in proximity to the golf course. Kelso 35, Portland 37, Salem the same, Eugene 34. So, you know, yesterday we started, and by noon yesterday, and then Matt Safino continuing the story last evening, that the models were starting to trend warmer, and we had growing confidence that Portland would be nothing but wet with temperatures staying above freezing. That turned out to be correct. We actually ended up with no cold spots at the flat in the valley. You really had to get up close to 1,000 feet to find any uniform sticking snow. There were some lower snow pockets as you headed up into the Coast Range. Here's a look at Futurecast this morning and then later today. It continues a spotty shower threat, but really most of the time moving forward today, we're going to be dry and we're going to open up some breaks. A northwest breeze will get up to about 45 degrees. If we don't have any freezing numbers, meaning no threat of icy roads at the top of the hour coming up in 11 minutes, then we'll lift the KGW impact alert. Tomorrow, dry. It'll be a cold, frosty start, 30 in the morning, and then Saturday and Sunday each to have some rain. Models have been really inconsistent on how much dry time versus wet this weekend. Temperatures up to about 52 degrees at Sunday. Chris McGinnis will be updating our forecast, by the way, at the noon show today, because I haven't looked into the weekend much. That's on you, Mr. McGinnis.
I thought I was going to take a lunch break and let you handle it. Hey, I do have an update. So Rainier Schools, they called it a day earlier, right? They're closed, but now Nestucca Valley has upgraded from a 2-hour delay to a full closure. There is a list of a scattering of delays, primarily in the Coast Range. a few in southwest Washington as well, taking across the bottom of your screen. So just be aware of that. Back out into the Coast Range, ODOT actually reporting some downed trees or downed tree limbs on Highway 47, just south of the Stubbs Stewart area. And again, you can see the heavy wet snow like this obviously is that. It's heavier than normal powdery snow, so that could be bringing down a couple of branches in the Coast Range. All right, I-205 right now, that southbound commute still running a little thick south of the West Lynn area as ODOT works to retrieve a car from what appeared to be a crash from yesterday. The I-205 drive there, you can see running slow through West Lynn. Right now, we're back up to 30 minutes to get you in from Clackamas to Tualatin. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Chris. Still to come on Sunrise, Andrew Windsor, the former prince, has been arrested for his connection with Jeffrey Epstein. We have more on that story, plus some of your other national headlines when Sunrise streaming live at 7 continues.
I'm David Molko, the evening anchor at KGW. Though when I'm not working, I like to spend as much time as possible out here in nature. So I don't just report about our community, I belong to it. You see, what happens here affects us all. And that's why we care so deeply about getting it right. And when local journalism is done right, it doesn't sit still, it moves. It moves you to act, to vote, to volunteer, to talk about it, to speak up, or to lend a hand. It moves your mind by challenging assumptions and offering new perspectives. It moves you forward by giving you the information to make decisions and thrive where you live. And yes, it moves your heart through the kind of human storytelling that stays with you wherever you are. And at KGW, we're here for all of it. These are the stories that move Portland.
The partial government shutdown over the Department of Homeland Security oversight seems poised to drag on, with lawmakers in the White House offering no signs of compromise.
And as some federal employees are working without pay during the shutdown, the president heads to Georgia today to talk affordability. NBC's Alice Bauer has the latest from Washington, D.C.
President Trump eyeing two fronts today, greeting world leaders at the inaugural meeting of his Board of Peace before heading to Georgia to talk up his economic policies. The battleground visit part of a push to get on the road and boost Republicans ahead of the midterm elections.
Georgia is obviously a very important state to the president and to the Republican Party.
The president set to focus on making life more affordable, as some federal employees are now working without pay, while the Department of Homeland Security is in a shutdown over Democrats' demands to reform ICE and Border Patrol tactics.
The ball is back in the court of the White House, because they have our most recent response.
The White House calling that proposal unserious, confirming President Trump has not had recent direct discussions with Democrats, despite his saying Monday that he'd sit down with them this week.
I will, but we have to protect our law enforcement. They've done a great job.
A growing number of Democratic lawmakers now planning to boycott the president's State of the Union Tuesday and instead join a counter-programming rally. The domestic divide coming as President Trump faces concern among longtime allies that his Board of Peace could undermine the United Nations. The Vatican saying Pope Leo will not join the board, following suit with allies like the UK and France.
The United Nations has great potential. They haven't lived up to the potential, but I think they might aid us a little bit.
The board expanding from its initial purpose to reconstruct Gaza, with the White House saying member states have pledged more than $5 billion toward aid and rebuilding. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security shutdown is slowing FEMA's response to severe weather and other natural disasters. That includes pausing deployments for more than 300 FEMA responders. Those on the ground will continue their work, but no new workers will be sent. The order comes even though the Disaster Relief Fund isn't part of the budget freeze. As of December, that fund has about $7 billion.
Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg testified before a jury yesterday addressing accusations that social media is harmful to children's mental health. Meta denies that those allegations and say that it's implemented numerous measures to safeguard young users. The lawsuit involves more than 1,600 plaintiffs accusing Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok of knowingly designing addictive products that are harmful to children's mental health.
Police arrested former Prince Andrew earlier this morning following weeks of revelations about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Officers were seen arriving at Andrew's residence on what is his 66th birthday. He was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Pressure has been growing around Andrew, the brother of King Charles III and the son of the late Queen Elizabeth II, over his years-long friendship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Andrew has always denied any wrongdoing in connection to his affiliation with Epstein and said he regrets the friendship.
Coming up at 8, KGW Sunrise continues live on KGW Plus with new information in 2 different deadly incidents in Portland.
More details in an officer-involved shooting from earlier this month and another person arrested in connection to the death of a convenience store worker in December.